Hello there, this is Manuel Vargas with Keller Williams Realty Landmark and Keller Williams Realty Landmark 2 in Queens. And today I'm going to talk to you about what happened in the fourth quarter of 2021, the end of the year, with the real estate in Queens. I know it's already February, but a lot of the data comes out in January, and that's why we usually wait for the beginning of February to recap on the activity for 2021 and to kind of have a window into what's going to happen with the real estate activity for Queens for 2022. So here we go. We're gonna start with what happened with interest rates. So the year at the end of the quarter, the interest rates ended up at 3.11% for a 30-year mortgage with a fixed interest rate. This is not bad. This is still very good compared to historical trends. But the troublesome point was that the interest rate was trending up. As you know, now we are at the beginning of February, and the interest rate has hit 4%. So the conversation at the end of the year in the fourth quarter was, okay, interest rates are going up a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Now, what does that mean? What is a big deal and what is not a big deal? Let me give you an example. If you are in a market where the median price is around 600,000 or 500,000 to make a round number, and the typical down payment is 20%, the average mortgage or the median mortgage will be 400,000. So what is the difference, for example, in a 30-year mortgage, in a 400,000 mortgage amount between a 3% interest rate and a 4% interest rate? Well, the payment for a 3% interest rate mortgage 30-year fix is $1,686. The payment with for the same amount, 400,000, with 4% is $1,909. The difference is $223 a month in payment, right? Principal and interest in payment, $223 every month. You may say, you know what, this is not a deal killer, this is not significant. But what happens when you are in a higher market, in a higher price point market? Let's say, like in many of the areas where we work, houses are $1 million or over. So let's say the median price is $1 million. So the median mortgage would be 800,000. Well, when the median mortgage is 800,000, for a 3% mortgage, a 3% interest rate in a 30-year mortgage, the payment is $3,372. If the interest rate is 4%, then the payment would be $3,819. Now the difference is double. The difference is $447 every month. So my conclusion, or the takeaway would be that in a higher price point market, the effect of the increase in interest rates may be much higher. I'm not talking about luxury markets because luxury markets behave a little bit different. But in general, in higher price point markets like New York, the metropolitan area of New York, the tri-state area with New Jersey and Connecticut and Nassau County, the effect of the interest rate going up may be much more acute than in areas where the median price is below 500,000. So that's something to keep in mind, because the interest rate is supposed to go up higher in 2022. And we believe that a large portion of the price increase for the last 2 years was created by two reasons. One was the decrease in interest rates and the push by the government policies to keep interest rates lower. So by the interest rates going higher, the prices may not continue to increase. And the other trend was that a lot of folks wanted to buy real estate um, to work from home and to have all the space they needed during the pandemic. This trend is also slowing down. So we have to watch what's happening in 2022. But we are going to see that already at the end of the fourth quarter, prices were kind of stabilizing. And before we talk about prices, let's talk about unemployment because that's another component of the economy that affects real estate demand. So, for the national numbers, unemployment came back in the fourth quarter to the levels of the before the pandemic at 3.9% unemployment. That's excellent. Now in Queens, the story is a little bit different. Unemployment came down, continued to come down, but it was at 8.6% at the end of 2021, at the end of the fourth quarter. This means that Queens is lagging behind uh, in employment gains as compared to the rest of the country. Um, I know for a fact that the construction industry and the restaurant industry, which employs a lot of the population in Queens, has been very affected by the pandemic and is recovering slowly. So Queens is lagging behind. Um, so what happens to median prices? Um, Well, let me refresh your memory as to what median prices are. When you have a list of prices, median prices are the prices in the middle. Um, in Queens, this median price at the end of the last quarter seemed to stabilize while coming down a little bit. For example, median prices of properties in contract were in October 675,000, in November 681,000, so it went up a little bit, and in December it came back down to 670,000. That's for contracts. For properties that were closing at the same time, this is very interesting. Median prices were higher, right? So we had for properties in contract 675, 681, 670. For properties that close in October, November, December, 694, 685, and 685,000. What this is telling us is that properties uh, before the fourth quarter were selling already a little higher because those are the closings that happened in the last quarter. So properties selling uh, in the third quarter of 2021 were selling a little bit higher than properties um, in um, in the fourth quarter, while the difference may be 2%, which is not a lot in one quarter. It is significant that the median prices are stabilizing and not going up in Queens anymore. The same thing happened at the national level. Um, NAR, the National Association of Realtors, reports that the median price at the end of the third quarter was 411,000, and the median price um, at the end of the fourth quarter for at the national level was 408,000, almost 1% less. So prices seem to be stabilizing at the end of the year, both at the national level and also in Queens. Now, another research that NAR, or the National Association of Realtors, did was what's happening with first-time home buyers. They track the data for first-time home buyers for the last 40 years, and they found out that for comparing 1981 to 2021, the median age of first-time home buyers is higher. It was in 1981, 29 years. in 2021 was 33 years. So people are being able to buy the first house later in life. This is for obvious reasons because everything is more expensive and the markets are more competitive. And with colleges getting more expensive and all this student loan debt being higher, then the first time home buyers have to wait longer in order to afford the first house. Also, they are techier, meaning, of course, they use the internet much more than 40 years ago because that's the trend that happens in the general business. And also about the down payment. First-time home buyers became a little bit poorer in down payment. The typical down payment in 1981 for first-time home buyers was 20%, and now in 2021 was 13%. This is significant for several reasons. Not only people or first-time home buyers have less money when they buy the first house, but also their affordability is less because typical mortgages with less than 20% down payment, meaning 13% in 2021, come with something called private mortgage insurance, which makes these mortgages more unaffordable. So affordability for first-time home buyers is also going down. Now, let's talk about inventory levels in Queens. Uh, According to the multiple listing service, inventory decreased in the fourth quarter. In October, there were 5 months of inventory. In November 4.6 months, and in December 4.4 months. Traditionally, anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. So we are in a pronounced seller's market uh, right now uh, because inventory is at 4.4 months as of December of 2021. Now, why is this happening? There are two reasons. Demand is higher because a lot of buyers want to buy their house to work from home, to have the space to entertain, to have the space to educate the children, but also because there is a lot of investors looking for real estate because with interest rates being so low, the money in the bank doesn't produce a lot, and real estate gives you a better return for your investment. And also, demand is higher because of inflation. We hear the news that inflation has been creeping up at the end of the year of 2021. So the home price appreciation for 2020 and 2021 was 12%. The consumer price increase, the average for both years, 2020 and 2021, was 3%. So real estate was a very good hedge against inflation. That's why there was so much of a demand, not only from first-time home buyers, but from investors. So this made the real estate market a seller's market. Now, what happens when rates go down? Also, people refinance their houses and they get a very good rate. When people buy their houses, they also get a good rate in their mortgage, and this makes them a little bit more reluctant to move going forward. I'm talking about 2022 when interest rates go up. So if we were just talking about interest rates, if interest rates decrease, there is this increase in demand. If interest rates increase, the demand decreases, right? But also the supply may decrease. So we were in an environment in 2021 where supply was low and demand was high for all these reasons we're talking about. Well, going into 2022, the trends may be as follows because of interest rates going up. The demand is obviously a little bit lower or much lower. We will see because less people qualify for, with the same income with higher rates, because also some people lose their appetite to buy because of higher rates. But also the supply side, the houses that people put for sale, the inventory may also decrease because when people sell, many of them, around 70% according to NAR, buy. They may be more reluctant to sell if interest rates go high. So for 2022, supply may continue to be a little lower. We will see, and demand will be a little lower. So that may affect the number of transactions. So to summarize, we are in a seller's market, and inventory is only 4.4 months, and uh, real estate as an inflation hedge was a very good tool for the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, because home price appreciation was very high in the double digits, around 12%, while inflation was around 3%. Now, also, when there is low inventory, is so important that when you make your real estate move, for example, when you are buying, that your real estate agent, your real estate advisor is experienced in helping you navigate the market as a buyer because it's very competitive. It's hard for real estate first time home buyers, and it's hard for investors. So your real estate agent should be experienced, should know how to present your offer, should tell you how to present your offer in the most competitive way. But when you are a seller, right, you also need your real estate agent now more than ever to be very experienced because you are going to be in a scenario with multiple buyers, multiple offers, and you may be in a scenario where you need to buy something to move, whether it is before or after buying, before or after selling, you are going to become a buyer yourself. So you need a very experienced real estate agent that knows what your options are and how to take advantage of your position, whether you are a seller or a buyer. So it becomes very important now that everybody is getting a real estate license because the market was busy, that you use somebody that is experienced and has the know-how in your particular area to allow you to make your move in the most advantageous way. Um, let's talk a little bit about negotiability, meaning the difference in prices from the asking price to the selling price. Um, so negotiability in Queens in the last quarter came down, meaning prices were uh, less negotiable. In October, the difference between the final asking price was 3%, in November 2.9, and in December 2.8. This is on average, meaning some houses, of course, sold at asking price, and the difference between asking and selling was zero. And some houses probably sold above asking price. But on average, 2.8% is very, very low, and it tells you that we are in a seller's market. Now, I want to call your attention to a detail. This is the difference I just told you between the final asking price and the selling price, right? Now, what was the difference between the initial asking price and the selling price? Because what happens sometimes when people put the house for sale, they are a little bit optimistic, they're a little bit ambitious, or maybe they are not in a rush, there is no urgency. They price the house a little higher to see what happens. Or sometimes they are not advised properly by the real estate agent. So the difference from the initial asking price and the sales price in October, November, December was higher, obviously, 4.5, 4.6, and 4.6, as opposed to 3%, 2.9, 2.8. So the takeaway here, the conclusion is that when properties are priced right, they set closer to asking price. And this has always been the case in any market. Not only that, when properties are priced closer to the market, when properties are priced right, you have a better chance of igniting a bidding war, of getting asking price or perhaps above. So it's very important when you price your property for sale to determine what your goals are and to have the real estate advisor, the real estate agent that is experienced in prices, that in pricing, that can tell you what the trends are, that can tell you where to price your property so you get the most money, right? So now that we have talked about median prices for all type of properties in Queens, I want to dive in a little bit deeper into what the prices were for different types of properties. Let's talk about one family houses. Let's take a look. One family houses, the median prices seem to stabilize. Now, let's break it down a little bit. You know, median prices for October for the entire county of Queens were 800,000, for November 771,000, and for December 782. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily that prices were coming down. Remember the definition of median price. Median price is the price in the middle of a certain set of data. This may mean that there was less inventory in higher price markets, and the majority of sales were occurring at the lower end of the market, therefore pulling down the median price. Now, that may be correct, that may be true, but let's look also for one family houses, the number of units sold. In October, there were 387. In November, there were 366. And in December, there were 361. So the number of sales was also decreasing, which is interesting. You know, one family houses were very popular during the pandemic because people didn't want to live in close quarters with other people, whether it was in a multifamily scenario or whether it was in an apartment building. So one family houses were selling much more than the other types of properties. Now, with the reopening of after the pandemic, after the lockdowns, other types of properties open up a little bit more. So it was not the demand was not only for one family houses, the demand was also for a little bit more for multifamilies. And we're going to see that that happened with two family houses. With two family houses in the fourth quarter in Queens, uh, there was an increase in median prices from October, which we have prices at 950,000, to November, 989,000. Then in December, it adjusted down a little bit to 982,500. One explanation could be the increase in interest rates. We are talking about a type of product, the two-family property, that is close to $1 million. So that increase in interest rates towards the end of the year was maybe affecting, more two-family houses. So the median prices went from October to December to 950, 989, 982. But what happens to the number of sales? The number of sales went up at 198 in October, 164 in November, but then 202 in December. This may be also a result of the expectation of many landlords and investors to be able to restart evictions. This is a unfortunate subject, but I do have a lot of small landlords that own two and three family houses, maybe one house only, where some tenants were not paying the rent, and the talk was that this eviction moratorium was going to end. So a lot of uh, the demand for multifamilies was getting a little bit better. And in fact, the eviction moratorium ended in January. So two family houses did a little bit uh, better if you want to compare to one family houses. But let's look at what happened to three family houses and multifamilies, larger multifamilies, and also at apartments. Well, median home prices also stabilized. For three and four families taken together, the prices went from in October 1,180,000 to 1,285,000 to in December 1,282,000. So the median prices were increasing. The multifamily market was reactivating, and not only because the eviction moratorium was getting close to an end, but also because the rental market recovered. I remember that at the beginning of 2021, we were talking about the rental market being very affected because a lot of people have left the city. Well, a lot of people came back to the city in 2021, and that helped multifamilies, both two families and then three and four families taken together, recover their value, recover their prices. As far as apartments, we just talk about people not wanting to live in close quarters, in close proximity of other people, and apartments experienced that last year. But at the end of the year, with the doing away of the lockdowns and the regulations, apartments also recovered. So co-ops and condos, the median prices were 350 in October, 350 in November, and 362 in December, with both median prices being higher year over year and closed units being much higher year over year for condos and co-ops, and also for three and four families. Also the new units sold for three and four families was much higher year over year. Um, for the entire Queens, I want to stress the point that it was a landmark year. The number of transactions was of closed transactions was up by 65%. To give you an idea, all residential properties sold uh, taken together in 2020 were 6,593 units. In 2021, at the end of 2021, and that's why we wait until January to get this data, there were 10,872 solar units, all residential. So 65% higher year over year and a record. We already said that median price when was much higher, and the increase comparing to 20 to 221, 2021 was 7%, 7.3% higher. So both the median prices and the number of transactions was higher. Now, being this a record year and a landmark year, it would be reasonable to expect that when the factors that uh, produce this frenzy, this increased demand, succeed, then this number of transactions may come back to normal. Like we said when we had other uh, frenzies in the past, we are taking buyers, we are taking deals from the future. So I wouldn't necessarily think that by us getting less transactions in 2022 because maybe the rates are higher, because maybe people already bought, because not a lot of properties for sale, it's a negative thing. it would be kind of uh, logical in a way because a lot of the sales happen in 2021. Now, it is interesting to uh, contemplate this fact because when you buy or sell in a market where there is frenzy, there is some pressure, you know. When you buy in a or sell in a market that is more stabilized, there is less pressure and there is some advantages. Also, for buyers, the advantage is obvious in the fact that there is less competition and less bidding wars. For sellers, you may not be in the bidding war scenario as much, but also if you are a seller and you need to buy another property, then your move may be a little bit easier because there is less pressure on the demand side. Okay, as usual, I want to thank you for listening to me. I want to thank you for using my services in 2021, all my clients, because it was a very good year. I was at the top of all the salespeople in my office and of the market in general. And it's thanks to yourselves, to my clients, to my office, to my family. Thank you very much. And when you are thinking of selling or making a move in real estate in Queens or the vicinity of Queens, the boundaries of Queens with Nassau or Brooklyn or New York City, please contact me. It will be my pleasure to help you. It will be my pleasure to put my expertise of 28 years to work for you. Thank you very much.